Idaho again doing a great job to cause the travel there, as they're really forcing some excellent defense and some poor offense from GCU early on.
Beyonce B inbounds to Rosa Smith. Smith trying to go to the middle of the court as Tiara Brown tries to cut her off. Gets across that midcourt line, and Collins won't leave her alone. Pokes it away, goes back into the backcourt. Could have been a back and over, but it was just a deflection. Here's B on the drive. Her first shot rolls around and off, and she loses the rebound to Tiara Brown. And Brown very focused on the fact that B not only leads them in scoring, but also in rebounding. There's a steal. Nice play by Asha Phillips, who will come down, force up the shot. That won't go. There's B with the offensive rebound. Fall away, bounce around, and drops through. And that's the first scoring of the night for B, who averages just under 24 points a game for Idaho. 5-0 Vandals. Lopes maybe a little bit shell-shocked coming out of the gate after having 7 days off. Collins the spin. Double teamed in the lane. Got to get rid of it. Throws it out straight away for Nadia Evans. Evans top of the key for Collins. Collins has been very active. Continues to be, but the left-handed hook shot won't go as Smith got her a little bit further away from the basket than she's used to. Gandy quickly in the front court. Idaho doesn't mind running. They like to have the final score in the 80s. B able to get the favorable roll, and B with back-to-back hoops. And suddenly it's an Idaho touchdown lead, and Molly Miller has decided she wants a timeout. 7 minutes, 6 seconds left.
A few points early on in this one. Definitely a trio to keep an eye on. The second one is Sky's the Limit. GCU is 1-0 against Big Sky opponents thanks to their win over Montana, and Idaho is 1-0 against the WAC opponents because they beat New Mexico State earlier this season. So really, who is going to be remain undefeated against the others conference? And finally, big ball. Idaho has 5 players standing at 6 foot or taller, and GCU only with 3. So definitely something to keep an eye on here tonight.
What's surprising about that, though, is that even though Idaho has 7 players between 5'11" and 6'2", they don't rebound well. In fact, they don't even rebound 33 a game as a team. So the Lopes could take advantage of that if they can get Sars, Lane, and/or Elena Harper going. So far, Aaliyah Collins finally ends that drought with the 3, and right on cue, there's Evan Zars with her first rebound on the defensive side. Lopes trailing 7-3 as Idaho came out with their second straight fast start. They led 27-7 at home against Denver Thursday after 1 quarter. Lopes trying to avoid that, and the 2 leaders taking it upon themselves. Collins with the 3 coming out of the break, and Tiara Brown with a nice move across the paint. And just like that, Lopes have cut this 7-point deficit down to 2 points. Here's Beyonce B out front, driving on Palma, had the switch, went all the way to the hoop, couldn't get the shot. Palma not happy with the call, but she will be whistled for her first personal foul, as Idaho doing a good job of noticing the defensive switch. And B, who looks a lot quicker than that 6'1" frame, took it upon herself to muscle her way in. So first free throws of the game coming for either team as the Vandals in their home white uniforms trimmed in brown and gold. B comes up empty on the first offering, and the Lopes in their black uniforms trimmed in purple and white. B using all of the rim in just about every shot she's put up, both field goals and free throws, gets the favorable roll there. And it's Idaho 8, Lopes 5. Lopes with the basketball, still have yet to lead in the first 4.5 minutes. Evans, dribble drive, stop on the baseline, cross court for Collins. Collins now spreading the floor with 13 to get a shot up. Zars gets the ball at the high post, back for Collins. Evan goes inside, shot clock at 7, so it's Collins for 3. That one off the side of the iron, not good, and Tiana Johnson all by her lonesome for the Vandals' defensive rebound. Nearing the midpoint of this first quarter, and Idaho with a fast start. Lopes trying to get back into it. B now covered by Evans again in his switch. Back out front for Sydney Gandy. Gandy now being covered by Zars. Wants to go one-on-one. Stop, double team, throw it out, almost throw it away. Smith had to go to one knee to save it, and then her pass almost thrown away. Saved, and there's Gandy in the corner to beat the shot clock won't go, but Evans loses the rebound battle to B, and as she passes off for Phillips, who drives inside, she is fouled on the play. So more free throws coming at the Vandals free throw line. So the Lopes still trying to kind of figure out this feel-out process, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's been interesting, really. You can tell that again, as I mentioned earlier, Idaho really paying attention to that scouting report, trying to potentially get the upset here over GCU. An upset just because GCU has the better record. And so far, Idaho now with that free throw up 4. So you can really tell both offensively and defensively, they really did a great job scouting and are reading this GCU team really well.
Lopes going to the bench for the first time today. They've got Maisa Marcel, who has the ball. Nice handoff for Brown. Wanted to do the jump step and had it poked away from her at the last minute before she could get it up. Besides Marcel at 5'9", the junior out of Lençois Paulista in Brazil, they've also brought Ellie Bazell up off the bench, the three-point sharpshooter from Rogers, Minnesota, and a 5'8" freshman. Here's Brown out for Zars. Quickly swinging around the horn for Palma. Open look for 3. Gets it to go as she goes down. Palma, since she was slid into the starting role, has been spending a lot more time worrying about other things besides scoring, but they love to get her rolling, and Rosa Smith takes it coast to coast and gets the easy lay-in. That's not something you normally see against a Molly Miller defense. So the Vandals trading hoops. It's 12-8 Idaho. Marcel trying to work on Rosa Smith. Goes for the backdoor cut for Palma. Changes hands in the air. Puts it up and in.
What a pass from Marcel to get it around the defense. Placement is absolutely beautiful to get Sydney Palma open for that layup, and she's able to finish it.
Palma with a nice body control in the air, and it's back to a 2-point Idaho lead. Gandy passes off. B sees daylight. Goes to the hoop with the left hand. Won't go. Good help from the weak side by Evan Zars. Lopes come down with their first chance to tie. Marcel keeps the dribble going. Come around a Brown screen. Stop. Lose the ball. Get it back in the paint. Gets rid of it in the corner. There's Bazell for 3. Won't go. A little bit too hard. And the long rebound comes down to Idaho's Rosa Smith. 3:20 left to go first quarter. Smith will fire from 3. That one's flat. And nothing but purple underneath for the defensive rebound as Molly Miller tells Maisa Marcel as she goes to the opposite side of the floor, let's slow it down just a bit. Marcel keeps the dribble going. Here's Ellie Bazell. Now for Brown at the free throw line. Turn around, face the hoop. Start to drive, double teamed again and again, called for traveling as she couldn't put the brakes on in time. She didn't agree with the call. It was made from the far side by lead official in this three-person crew, Brian Woods. Molly Miller again going to her bench, and Olivia Lane is going to check in for the first time, playing in only her 3rd game as a Lope, coming back from that patellar tendon surgery, but in the middle to give Zars her first breather. Olivia, 6'2" junior out of Merrifield, Minnesota. And coming from the University of North Dakota. Long pass, and that is intercepted by Ellie Bazell as they tried to release, and the Lopes were wise to it. Marcel with the ball outside the right arc. Comes around a Lane screen. Stop in the lane, doesn't want the shot. Brown lobs it for Lane, face the hoop, go to the baseline, backing in on B, and called for a double dribble. Well, we've seen 3 traveling violations and a double dribble from the Lopes in the first 7.5 minutes. That is extremely uncharacteristic of how this team is when they are in an offensive flow. Dominique Phillips will get the warm-ups off, and she will check in for the Lopes. The pride of Millennium High School and the Goodyear native, a 5'11" senior. And Nadia Evans also coming in. Palma and Brown getting their first breathers of the ball game. B looking, B waiting, gets it for Rosa Smith. Now the Lopes will pursue her down the right side. Trying to go to the trap, and Smith trying to beat it, just lost control of it. Took her eyes off of it, and it goes out of bounds. So the Lopes forced the turnover and still trying to get even. We've been stuck on this 12-10 score for the last couple of minutes. Marcel to the right side. Phillips comes high post to get the ball. Lobs it for Evans. Turn around with the left hand and in. Nice assist pass. Phillips put it on the money. Evans in the scoring column for the first time today, and we are tied for the first time in the afternoon at a dozen apiece, nearing the 2-minute mark. B lost control of the ball, and Marcel came over a little bit late and almost came up with the steal. Now it's John Newley going to the bench. Sarah Brands will check in, 6'1" freshman out of Dublin, California. They have more California natives on this team, 4 to be exact, than they do Idaho natives. Just one, that being Lapwai, Idaho's Ashlyn Wallace, who has not been in the ball game yet. That one knocked away, not once but twice. Saved on the side. Scramble for the ball, and we've got a tie-up that will send it the Lopes' direction. Make it Idaho's direction, with a $1:46 left to go first quarter. And no reset on the shot clock, so the Vandals have just 3 seconds to get it up. B will inbound. Looking, waiting. Gandy springs free. Gandy will drive, doesn't see the clock, puts it up, and they'll wave it off anyway. There was one on the shot clock, but she pushed off to get room, and that will be the first foul of the ball game on Idaho. Offensive foul, Sydney Gandy. So the Lopes defense now starting to make it difficult offensively for the Vandals, like Idaho has been doing for GCU most of this quarter. $1:35 left to go. Lopes trying for their first lead. Lane coming to the ball to get it, but she's bumped and fouled. That'll be on Sarah Brands, who just checked in. That'll be an on-shooting foul. So the Lopes will have it to the right of their own basket with Bazell, Phillips, Lane, Evans, and Maisa Marsal, who will handle the inbound duties. Does so out front for Evans. Here's Phillips. Thought about the shot, instead gives it to the open Bazell. Three-pointer in and out. Tough break for the freshman. Smith comes out of the pack with it. Marsal giving chase. She drives around her, gives it to B. B, cross court. Good ball movement. They give it in the corner for Gandy, but as she started to make her baseline drive, she backed up for a split second and put her heel on the line. That'll be another Vandals turnover. So the Lopes come down, nearing the 1 minute mark of this first quarter. 12-12. Idaho is led by as many as 7. Lopes still looking for their first cushion. Here is the driving Lane. Put it up, a little bit short. Good defense that time by Brands. Coming out of the backcourt with it is Beyonce B. It's spelled like the singer Beyonce, but the E at the end is silent. Handoff, Smith almost ran into Phillips. Now as she starts to do behind the back, loses the ball, tried to save it in the corner, goes out of bounds, and the Lopes bench applauding the defensive effort on the turnover.
Finally starting to see the GCU defense that we're used to, as now the game has remained tied for quite a bit thanks to both of these teams having really excellent defensive efforts here early on.
Collins and Zars check back in for the final 41.2 seconds. Lane and Marsal getting high fives as they head to the Lopes bench. Collins calls out a set play, comes across that GCU logo, and coming out high is Phillips. Back to Collins, who wasn't expecting the pass, and then as Zars was underneath double team trying to get free, she pushed off. Smith goes down, Zars picks up the foul. Well, we were talking before we even got on the air, Chelsea, about we didn't expect that this was going to be a 65-55 game because both of these teams like to score. But right now we're on that pace because the defenses are owning the night.
Yeah, it's been such tight defense for both of these teams. As I've mentioned, really it comes down to that scouting report. I mean, it feels like both defenses are able to read the opposite offense really well so far. We'll see if that continues for the rest of this game.
Shot clock is off, so the Vandals can go for the final shot. They have not scored in a while. Nearly 4 minutes to be exact. Smith with the ball, yo-yoing out front. Evans making her play keep away. Game clock down to 10, now 9. Coming over is B to set a screen. They give it back to her. She throws it in the corner. Ashlyn Wallace's first shot is an air ball, and it's controlled by Zars, and that's the way this quarter is going to finish. Defensive-oriented, not what we expected. And we are still no closer to finding a victor. They went the first 4 minutes without scoring. And Molly Miller has gone back to the starting 5 of Collins, Brown, Palma, Zars, and Evans to try and see if they can get a little rally going. Lopes forced 8 turnovers, but they also had 6 miscues themselves. Most of them, believe it or not, traveling in double dribble. Zars draws the defense, give it to Evans in the corner. Three-pointer won't go. But a late whistle after Brown was knocked off balance. Running at her was Ashlyn Wallace, and Wallace will be whistled for the foul, and they are going to say active shooting. So Evans will go to the line for not 1, not 2, but 3 free throws, and this is the first appearance at the charity stripe for the Lopes on the afternoon, as Evans is able to break the tie and give the Lopes their first lead. That's the quietest you will hear this building whenever there is a free throw, as everybody holds the Lopes up sign and the cheerleaders signal everybody shut up, except, of course, me. All 3 free throws good by Evans, and it's 15-12. Evans almost got the inbound steal, but Ashlyn Wallace, as we mentioned, the lone Idaho native on this team, grew up in Lapway, went to Clarkston High School. The 5'6" sophomore with the basketball. Now going down is Evans. Open look for Wallace, but the three-pointer won't go. And Tierra Brown with the basketball as the Lopes try to build on their new lead. Palma comes up, open look. Don't give her that. Palma with an 8-footer, and she's got 3 field goals and 7 points. And the Lopes in the midst of a 9-0 run. One-hander breaks that on cue by Rosa Smith. So Sydney Palma's 7. And Rosa Smith 7 to lead the way for their respective teams. Collins doesn't see any room, so she backs it out. Give it to Palma. The California Baptist transfer came around a Czar's screen, and that is going to be an offensive foul, saying that Czar's was moving. And Chelsea Mendelson, you just said it. Right now, this 3-person officiating crew of Brian Woods, Felicity Willis, and Jonathan Varela calling them tight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been plenty of calls here tonight, especially with traveling, double dribble, and now that time the moving pick. So making sure that both of these teams are playing fairly and that all the calls are going both ways. Jordan
Allred inserted into the ball game during that stop and play, makes her presence known with that driving layup. And the Lopes lead, which was 5 a moment ago, back down to a single point. Palma comes around to Czar's screen. She'll drive. Running one-hander is a beauty. And Sydney Palma's come to play.
Palma is dangerous from every single part of the court. If you don't have a hand right in her face, and even then, she can make it from really anywhere behind or within the arc.
Aaliyah Collins and Evan Czars will head to the Lopes bench after Collins got the reach in and came up with just arm, not ball. That's her second personal foul. So the Lopes starting point guard may be on the bench for a few minutes. Still have over 8 minutes left to go before halftime. And Maisa Marsal replaces her in the Lopes lineup. Here is Jordan Allred. Allred stop with her back to the basket. Low block pass for B, knocked away. Beyonce gets it back. Fall away jumper, roll around and off. That's one of her shots. She loves taking the fall away in the lane. Marsal with the ball on the left side, keeps the dribble going. Comes around to Dominique Phillips' screen, give it back to Dom. High arching three, too hard, and Allred will just let that trickle out of bounds. And Idaho will have the basketball. John Newley has been a D1 head coach for the last 20 years, and all of it in the Gem State. Spent 6 years with Idaho State before coming over here in 2008. And there's a pass thrown away. Newley with his right arm in a sling as he coaches in front of the Vandals bench. Here's Palma to Phillips. Phillips trying to go one-on-one. Starts left, spins right, spins left again. Open person is Palma. She'll drive, draw the defense. Phillips in the corner for three. Great ball movement by the Lopes. That's the first bench scoring of the night for GCU. And they have their largest lead at 22-16. And Evans able to force the turnover as Wallace stepped on the out-of-bounds line. So the Lopes will have the basketball. Wallace checks out. Sydney Gandy back into the lineup. Brooke Malone has also checked in to the Idaho lineup, the 6'1" redshirt freshman, and one of two Aussie natives on this Vandals squad. Marsal, dribble drive on Smith, keeps on coming with a Euro step, but the shot off the glass won't go. And B with the basketball after the defensive rebound as it knocked away, saves it. Now Idaho for the moment has numbers. Smith with the leap and leaner, and it bounces on the front of the iron and drops through. And Smith right now the straw that stirs the offensive drink. She averages 8.5 points a game, and she's already exceeded that with 9 points. And the Lopes lead is 4. Marsal for Phillips. Is she feeling it? Three-pointer this time won't go, and B boxes out for the rebound. She averages 24 and 9 on the season for Idaho to lead the way in both scoring and rebounding. Gandy with the ball out front. Covered by Palma. Drives, puts it up, won't go. I think Palma might have gotten a piece of it. Marcel comes racing out of backcourt, down the right side. Dishes in the corner. Evans the drive. Beautiful pass in the lane, and Phillips will take care of the rest. Evans the assist. Phillips with her second field goal. Lopes 24, Vandals 18, 4 minutes gone by, quarter number 2. Rosa Smith handling the basketball. Give it off for Gandy. Gandy was looking in for B. Instead, it's Smith. Her three-pointer barely draws iron, and a good box out by Marcel as B was trying to get that offensive board, and Marcel let it trickle out of bounds. Layla McLeod, fresh off her career high as a Lope of 17 points against Columbia College a week ago, will make her first appearance in the Lopes lineup. Born in Nashville, also has spent time in Detroit, calls Dallas her hometown, and she spent last year as part of Bella Vista Prep here in the Phoenix area. McLeod with the ball, will drive, kick for Brown. She'll square and fire for three, bound around and off. Boxing out for the defensive rebound, Idaho's Jordan Allred. She'll bring it out of backcourt. Keeps coming. Nice dish for B, and B's alone as the Lopes came to double team. And B comes up with her first field goal of the second quarter. She has 7 on the game. Marcel on the drive, and as she's double teamed, throws it up. Doesn't go, but she is held and fouled. Brooke Malone will pick up team foul number 2 for Idaho. And Marcel will head to the line for her first free throws of the afternoon with 5:16 left. Lopes starting to slowly get that free throw percentage back up as a team. They had a couple of nightmarish games a couple of weeks ago, got that team average down to 59%. Marcel makes 1 of 2, but the Lopes get the long rebound, so they have a chance for a 4-point play, but McLeod's 3 won't go. And the rebound belongs to the Vandals' Sydney Gandy. Lopes' largest lead, 6. That was just a moment ago. Idaho's largest lead, 7. They began the game with it. Here's a pass, errant. Throwing off her opposite foot was Asha Phillips as she got up in the air with nowhere to go and threw it in its play in a week in their conference home opener. Will be New Year's Eve day, Saturday, January the 31st. And we'll have it for you right here on ESPN Plus starting at 2 p.m. Arizona time. Lopes with a 5-point lead and the basketball. Phillips throws it in the corner for Layla McLeod. McLeod picked up by Jordan Allred. Now for Palma. Palma's had the hot hand. She'll drive, draw the defense, give it to Brown, almost travel again. They've been calling that tight. Here's McLeod with 6 on the shot clock. Throws it in the corner for Palma with 3. With 2, puts it up, off the back of the iron, won't go. And the Vandals converge for the defensive rebound. Again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the game, the Vandals have a major size advantage against just about everybody that they play, but they don't necessarily rebound well. They've gone against that grain so far today. And on the drive by B, she is bumped in the lane. And I think the question is, will they give her continuation? And the answer is no. B was at the free throw line, but instead she will get the inbounds pass. Can't get the shot to go. Rebound poked around, and the Lopes have got it. Palma, full head of steam as she comes into the front court. Off for McLeod, but Layla wasn't expecting it, and Layla had her foot on the line, so turnover McLeod and the Lopes. And that'll give it back to the Vandals as Emma Krieger will get up off the bench. And the freshman from Topeka, Kansas, and the Washburn Rural High School alum will replace Tiara Brown in the lineup. B will inbound. Krieger will cover that inbound and get it for Allred, and now for Sydney Gandy. Rosa Smith on the bench, so Gandy will run the point guard spot for John Newley's Vandals as we move under the 4-minute mark before the intermission. Gandy driving on McLeod. Little scoop shot, too hard. Coming in is B to get the follow, but that one won't go. And B's missed an awful lot of shots at point-blank range in this first half. Lopes have got to try and close that gap, though, because once she gets rolling, look out. McLeod out for Evans. Phillips gets the ball on the run. Now stops, drive in, nice spin, puts it up with the right hand and gets it. Dominique Phillips with 7 points all in this second quarter. And right now, that's the difference in the game as the Lopes have their largest lead. Down the right side goes Allred for Sydney Gandy. Palma staying with her. Gandy, stutter step, doesn't want to drive this time. Instead, stop the dribble. Wants somebody to come get the ball. And finally, it's Asha Phillips to oblige. Now she'll go all the way to the hoop. Puts it up with the left hand. Nice play. First field goal for Asha Phillips. And it's 27-22. Lopes with the ball inside of 3 minutes. Krieger picked up by B out front. Goes to the right side. Hands off for Phillips. Now for McLeod. Lopes staying in that half-court set. Phillips goes inside. Here's Palma on the baseline. Shot clock to 8. Cross court for Dom. She'll fire another three. And Dom Phillips with the hot hand. 10 points to lead the way. And the Lopes with their largest edge at 30-22.
You got to be careful when Dom Phillips gets hot. Her teammates know it, and they feed her behind the arc and under the hoop every single time. And now she's one of the leading scorers of this one.
There's another turnover. Palma to Phillips, but this time Dom was too far underneath. Shot on the bottom of the basket. Vandals come the other way, 5-on-4. It's Allred for 3, won't go. And the Vandals continue to be stone cold from outside, but they are certainly not bashful. They don't necessarily shoot it well from three-point range, just 33%, but they came into the game shooting 60 more trays on the season than the Lopes. McLeod with the ball out front. Here's Naughty Evans with 10 on the shot clock. She'll back up. She'll fire a 3! And the Lopes starting to find the range. That is 5 3-pointers for GCU in just 12 attempts. And they have their first double-digit lead of the afternoon at 33-22. 90 seconds left to go. And Evans on the hip of Brooke Malone all the way across the arc. She'll be whistled for the personal foul. That's her first. And only team foul number 3 so far on GCU in this quarter. Palma and Krieger to the bench. Ellie Bazell back in, along with Tiara Brown and Maisa Marçal, and Evans also checking out, presumably for the final 87 seconds of half number 1. Inbounded for Brooke Malone. Out front for Gandy. She will take a long 3 and get it. She knew pretty much what she wanted to do from the moment she got the ball. And that's her first scoring. Lopes 33, Vandals 25. Lopes have just gradually extended this lead. We were tied at the end of one quarter. Phillips now for Brown. Brown sees daylight, drives on B, fake shoot, score. Nice play. Tiara Brown showing the body control, and the lead's back to 10 as we're under a minute. Gandy lobs for B, still in the backcourt. Bazell staying with her as B will drive, bump, no harm, no foul. Scoops it. Here's a pass through the hands of Malone. Saved by Phillips. Outlet for Marçal. She'll go down, put it up with the left hand, no. Brown follows, that one won't go, and the Vandals dodge a bullet. Half a minute left to go as the Vandals come on the attack. About 4 seconds difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Marçal covering Gandy way out front. Gandy will hand off. Asha Phillips to the opposite corner. Malone drive the base. B wasn't expecting the pass. Comes out front for Jenna Kilty. She'll save it into B. B driving, puts it up, roll around, won't go. Lopes have it. They can go for the final shot. They have 6 seconds to do it. Marçal driving, keeps coming. She'll fake, throw it out front for Phillips. She'll put up the 3. That one won't go at the buzzer. But the Lopes get back off the schneid, trailed by 7 early, but they will take a 10-point cushion. Basketball before Christmas Day here at GCU Arena. Jim Howe, Chelsea Mendelson. Lopes outscored Idaho 23-13 in that second 10 minutes. Vandals have the basketball, trailing by 10. Lopes have led by as many as 11. Idaho led by 7 after scoring the first 7 points of the game. Rosa Smith got an extended breather in that second quarter, but picking up where she left off as she drives and works her way inside. And she's now in double figures, the first one of the Vandals to say that. She has 11 points, and the Lopes have the ball and an 8-point lead. Same 5 that started the game. On the floor for Molly Miller, and Aaliyah Collins missed almost all of that second quarter with 2 personal fouls. She's back in, tried to lob it in for Brown, and it's poked away from Tiara. Brown and Collins would love to get more involved in the offense. They have a combined 7 points, but the rest of their teammates, especially Dom Phillips and the lady with the basketball, Sydney Palma, picked up the slack. Here's a cross court for Evans. Evans' three is a little bit short. Brown swoops in to get the offensive board. Can she get the shot? Yes, she can. Brown staying with it. And let's see if maybe that gets T on track in the second half. Palma with a diving attempt for the inbound steal. Both she and Smith go down. Idaho will keep the basketball, but lunch pail points for the California Baptist transfer, Sydney Palma. Here's Gandy running into a Lopes sandwich. Tiara Brown got the worst of that exchange. And it'll be a non-shooting foul as B will inbound it just to the left of her 15-year head coach, John Newley. Same five that started the game, and now B springs by herself, and a defensive breakdown. That's the easiest shot that Beyonce has had all game, and she's got 9 points. Lopes do not want to get her on track, and right on cue, Molly Miller tells Emma Krieger, I want you in there to cover number 5. So she's at the press table waiting to check in. Collins with the ball, sees daylight on Smith, bumps into her, puts up the shot. Looked like she might have lost it in the air. Shot didn't go. Gets her own rebound, follows. Oh, wouldn't go. And this time it's Tiana Johnson, the grad student, coming up with it. Lead pass. Phillips sees open daylight and goes to the hoop. And the Lopes have given up back-to-back uncontested layups. Lopes lead down to 6. Palma with the ball out front for Evans Zars. Now for Collins. Collins looking inside as Evans was running the baseline. Instead, it's Brown outside the left arc. Give it to Zars. She's going to square and fire for 3. That's off the mark. She definitely can shoot it from there. Don't be fooled. In fact, she's the Lopes' best percentage shooter from behind the arc at 46%. Smith, nice dish underneath. B has it stripped away, almost went out of bounds. She saves it, gives it to Gandy, and the running one-hander in the lane is good. And the Vandals have come out with another hot start to start the half. They scored the first 7 points of the ball game, and they have come out firing. They've outscored the Lopes 8-2 in the first 2.5 minutes here. Collins, give it to the cutting Evans, go to the hoop, score it, count it, foul, send her to the free throw line. Evans took the contact from B, put it up and in, and the chance for the and one. First foul of the afternoon on Idaho's leading scorer, Beyonce B.
The ball movement for the Lopes today has looked absolutely stellar, and that was another example of it, as there is an easy layup there to draw the foul and score it for Evans.
Evans doing a good job moving well without the basketball, and that one will not go down. That is her first miss in 4 free throw attempts. And Idaho able to break the press as Marçal streaking down, catches up with Rosa Smith. Here's Phillips driving, double team, throws it for Gandy. Somebody's alone, but Marçal seeing that comes out on the high post for Tiana Johnson. Gandy and Johnson play catch. They lob for B. She'll fall away from 8, won't go. Sneaking in for the rebound is Phillips. Puts it up, falling away, and gets it to go. It'll count, and the foul's going to be called on Evans Zars, much to her chagrin. That is 3 personal fouls on the Lopes starting center. And Molly Miller will get Dom Phillips up off the bench. Phillips completes the 3-point play. That's Asha. And the Lopes version of Phillips, Dominique, coming off that 10-point second quarter, will check in. Lopes' 10-point halftime lead is down to 1 possession. 39-36. Marçal with the basketball. Lopes trying to get on track in this quarter. Marçal draw the defense, kick for Krieger, 3-pointer short. She saw it, got her own rebound, gives it to Phillips. Moving in the lane, can she get room? No. Throws it out for Palma. Open look for 3, but it's off the mark. And on the rebound scramble, Marçal going for the tie-up on the floor, called for a holding foul. So the Lopes coming out cold to start this second half. And now they will try to press with 6:38 left. Holding on to a 3-point edge. Rosa Smith looking to inbound. Long pass for Gandy. She released, comes to the hoop and scores. Well, John Newley going into his bag of tricks at halftime And the Vandals have scored 13 points in the span of 3.5 minutes. 1 point Lopes lead. Here's Phillips. Square and fire for three. Not there. Gandy with the long rebound. Vandals with a chance to take their first lead in forever. Inside pass. There's Johnson. Wave it off. Shot did not count, but she will go to the line. No, they actually say it was before the shot, so therefore the foul on Evans will just mean an inbound and a fresh 30 on the shot clock. Now, I think Jonathan Varela is going to say, wait a minute, it shouldn't be 30, it should be 20 on the reset. 6 minutes, 11 seconds left to go on the game clock in the third quarter, and now they do indeed give them 20 seconds to get a shot up. Inbound for Tiana Johnson. Quickly back to Smith. Her three-pointer won't go, and they continue to be cold from three-point range, just 2 of 10. Here's Marcel on the drive. Wanted to spin, but instead lost her footing. Saves it out front. Here's Evans. Low block for Phillips. Working on Johnson. Running one-hander. Uses every part of the rim before it drops through. And the Lopes needed that one. 3-point GCU lead. Smith comes around to screen. Phillips picks her up on the switch. Rosa Smith hands off for Gandy. Back for Smith. Lob for B. Krieger with good defense knocks it out of bounds. Krieger has done a good job bottling up the 6'1" senior from Washtenaw, Washington. Beyonce B, and timeout as Maisa Marcel needed to tie her shoe. So now we're good. Smith inbound for B. Quick catch and shoot. Bound around and drop through. That's one thing we have seen from Beyonce B's shots is they use just about every part of that rim. And B is now in double figures with 11. And the lead is just a single point for the home team. Dom Phillips start to drive. Cut off, out for Palma. Sees daylight, drive, running one-hander, no. But she's knocked down hard and fouled. And that will be personal foul number 2, both in this quarter, on Idaho's Beyonce B. So Palma has been very active with and without the ball all afternoon today. And she will head to the charity stripe for the first time on the afternoon. 5 minutes, 13 seconds left to go. Lopes were 4 of 5 from the free throw line in the first half, but now 0 for 2 as Palma misses the front half of the 2-shot foul. Next free throw, perfect. And Palma's in double figures with 10. Phillips leading the way with a dozen. And Evans also in double figures with 10 points. Evans takes a hard screen from Johnson, but stays alive. Krieger knocking it away from B, who gets it back. Three-pointer put up, too hard. Off of Smith's hands. Nadia Evans with the long rebound. Vandals scamper back defensively. Off for Marcel. She'll drive. Goes all the way underneath. Lob to Krieger, who goes in. Johnson came over to help. Tiana Johnson whistled for the foul. But the Lopes moving very well without the basketball. And give 10 so far in quarter number 3. And that's why their 10-point halftime lead is down to 2. Emma Krieger fouled before the timeout. We'll have a chance to double that. But the first free throw is off the mark. Krieger, the honorable mention all-stater. Can't get either one to go, but Phillips, right place, right time, able to track down the offensive board. Lopes with another try, this time down the floor. Evans driving on Palma. Can't get any room, backs it out. Shot clock at 8. Off for Krieger. Krieger looking inside. Lopes kind of going small right now. Phillips the tallest player on the floor, but the three-pointer won't go, and nothing but white jerseys underneath for the defensive rebound as the Vandals come down with a chance to tie. 4:20 left to go, quarter number 3. Smith stops the dribble, way out for Tiana Johnson. Low block B, and Marcel on that defensive switch reached in to try and stop the pass. Looked like Marcel and B kind of talking to each other as they came away from that exchange. Marcel will pick up the foul, and already the Lopes are over the team foul limit. So B, who has gone to the line twice, made one of the two, heading to the free throw line to try and make it all even for only the second time today. And as we have said, Ball bounds around and around and drops through. B halfway to her season average with a dozen, make it 13. And for the first time since we were knotted up at 12 apiece at the end of the first quarter, we are tied again, this time at 42. Idaho has outscored GCU 17-7 in this quarter. Evans trying to change it, but the three-pointer's off the mark. And Rosa Smith tracks down the long board. Long pass over a lot of traffic, still goes to Phillips. Phillips throws it in the opposite corner. Open look three, won't go from Gandy. Lopes dodge a bullet. Marçal straight down the middle with the basketball. Stop, keep the dribble going at the three-point line. Now give it for Evans on the left side. Lopes looking for some sort of offensive flow. Haven't been able to get it in the first 6 minutes. Phillips draw the defense. Give to Evans. Square and fire for three. Oh, the Lopes needed that. Naughty Evans with her second tray of the afternoon. She's got 13 points. Lopes' lead is back to 3. Marçal can't get in front of Smith, but her layup falls off the front of the iron. Tough break. Marçal to Evans. Evans on the drive. Cut off by Gandy. Hook pass inside. Phillips muscles her way to the hoop. Shot won't go. She goes down. Free throw time. Foul on Tiana Johnson. So now both teams with 3:11 left to go are out of fouls. Lopes already over the limit. And that is team foul number 4 on the Vandals. And they are not going to give Phillips continuation, so Dom instead will inbound it with 20 seconds on the shot clock underneath. Lobs it for Tiara Brown, who just checked back in. Give it to Evans in the corner. Back low block for Phillips. Moving in on Johnson. Draw the defense. Kick for Palma. Hand in her face. Three-pointer won't go. And the rebound tipped out of bounds. And Brown cleanly went over the top of Tiana Johnson and poked it off of the Vandals starting center. Good hustle by the Lopes Jr. Marçal will inbound. Fresh 20 on the shot clock. Looking, waiting. Has to throw it out front for Evans. Smith with the defensive assignment on her. The drive, the shot, put it up, put it in. Evans gets the field goal. Give her the chance for the three-point play.
I think that's the second time today we've seen her power through a foul for a layup. That time on the drive as opposed to receiving the pass right under the hoop. Able to finish it again, and now she goes to the line.
Well, no doubt that Rosa Smith is a physical defender at the point guard spot, but Evans was a little too strong that time. And Evans' big third quarter continues. She had 8 at halftime. She's doubled it here. And her 2 3-point plays, one from outside the arc and one the conventional route, has given the Lopes a 6-point lead. Three-pointer by Gandy, not good. B able to win the jumping contest for the board. And a foul called on the Lopes' Nadia Evans, and that is 3 personals on the Lopes starting 2 guard to send B back to the free throw line with 2:42 left. B now 4 out of 5 from the charity stripe as she makes the first. And Beyonce, you knew she was going to warm up eventually. And like Evans, who has doubled her halftime output, B with 7 at halftime and 7 in this quarter, trying to make it 8 here, but can't do it. In and out, and Dom Phillips comes up with a rebound. Lopes with the lineup of Sydney Palma, Nadia Evans, Dom Phillips, Tiara Brown, and Maisa Marçal. Marçal looking for room. There is none. Out front, Dom Phillips. Drive on Johnson. Throw it in the corner for Palma. Palma on the drive. Puts it up. Off the glass and in. Sydney Palma had the much taller 6'2" Tiana Johnson in her face, but still was able to throw it up and in.
I mean, that's what I was saying about Palma earlier. It doesn't matter how strong your defense is on her. She still can manage to get the ball in the hoop every single time.
Gandy drives on Marçal. Keeps coming. No room there for Tiana Johnson, who likes to head out by that three-point line. Geist pass, dishing to the cutting Asha Phillips. And Phillips also with a strong third quarter. She's got 11 on the game, 7 here in this first 8 minutes plus. Here's Tiara Brown, drives around a Phillips screen, shot from 14, too hard. Tiana Johnson all by her lonesome has the defensive rebound. Lopes lead is 5. Lead pass Gandy, fumbles, gets it back. Leap and leaner won't go. Long rebound to Brown. Tiara wants to run, but she doesn't have numbers, so she'll wisely slow it up. Wait for her teammates to come. Evan Zars gets the warm-ups off. She'll check in next time it's dead. Evan shot off the side of the glass as she was leaning towards the out-of-bounds line. And here come the Vandals with $1:18 left to go in this third quarter. B holding it out front, wants one of her teammates to move. Instead, she's going to take it herself. Spins on Brown, forces up the shot and gets it. And there wasn't much more Tiara Brown could do defensively. John Newley wanted the three-point play opportunity, doesn't get it. Here's Marcel on the drive, puts up an off-balance shot, no, late whistle underneath. Rosa Smith looking around to see, did they call it on me? And lead official Brian Woods says yes. First foul on the Vandals starting point guard, and that, as we have said, will be free throw time for the Lopes, as both teams have been over the team foul limit for quite a while. Phillips and Evans out of the Lopes lineup. Bazell and Evan Zars back in, and John Newley has had subs on the floor on the press table for a while. Brooke Malone, Ashlyn Wallace also coming back in as Marsal's first free throw is good. Lopes only 3 of 7 from the charity stripe in this quarter, and now 3 of 8 as that one rolls off. 4-point game, inside of a minute left to go third quarter. Smith fumbles, Marcel staying with her. Smith looking for room. She loves that drive when she's able to spread the floor, and Marcel now knows it. Out front, Ashlyn Wallace comes around a screen, kicks it in the corner. Malone wanted to drive around Brown, but Tiara knocked it out of her hands. 8 on the shot clock. Long three by Johnson won't go, and Zars uses all of her 6'2" frame to bring down the board. Now the Lopes can go for the final shot of the quarter. Shot clock is off. They have 20 seconds still on the game clock. Marcel will back it out. Hand out for Palma. Palma picked up by Ashlyn Wallace. That's redshirt junior against sophomore. She'll kick for Zars. Straight away for 3! Evan Zars gets on the board, and it couldn't come at a better time. That will be the way we will end 3 quarters of play, as Zars ending to her 1,000 career point mark. End of by 10 at halftime. And the Lopes, thank you very much, Daudia Evans, got the lead back out to 7. They have the ball to start this fourth and final quarter. Sydney Palma drawing the defense out for Zars. Thought about another 3 and this time passes it up. Here's Maisa Marcel. Driving, cut off, out for Zars. Throws it for Brown. Still plenty of time to get a shot up. Lopes don't need to hurry. Marcel almost fumbles. Gives it to Palma. Alone in the corner. Three-pointer, no. And Brooke Malone able to box out for the defensive rebound.
The three-point shooting has been really not great for either of these teams, especially teams that can usually, of course, as I say that, they sink one, but they, percentage-wise, are shooting around a 24-25% mark for both of these teams, so really not a great night from behind the arc. That tray by Brooke Malone, her first scoring, but that means that Idaho is 3 out of 15 from the arc. Inside, Brown can't get the shot to go. Scramble for the rebound. Palma comes out of the pack with it. Lopes are back defensively, so Palma, or I should say Sydney Gandy, will wisely bring it out. Long pass inside for B. Working on Zars. Puts it up, won't go. I think Evan got a piece of it. She also gets the defensive rebound. That is her 5th of the day. Palma in the front court. Can't use the Zars screen. Evan goes inside. Marcel outside the right arc. We played a minute and a half. Lopes looking for their first scoring of the quarter. Bazell caught in the lane. Throws it out for Palma with 9 on the shot clock. Here's Bazell again. Around the screen. She'll drive. Throw it in the corner. It's Brown for 3. Bound around. Won't go. Gandy sneaks in to get the rebound and then away from the basketball. A whistle and a foul. Foul's going to be on the Lopes. And Aaliyah Collins, who has not seen a lot of playing time, part of it was foul trouble, and this time is a defensive breakdown by the Lopes, and Gandy released. Nobody went with her, and Sydney comes up with an easy lay-in. She's got 9 points, and it's back to a 2-point game.
Lopes have led by as many as 11. That was late in the second quarter. Here's Brown. Stutter step. Drives on B. All the way in, but too far underneath. I think Brown wanted a foul, didn't get it. Lead pass for Smith. She will back up and fire a three for the lead and gives it to him. 8-0 run by Idaho in the first 2 minutes plus. Lopes 0 for 4, and 2 of those 3 field goals have been from behind the arc, courtesy of Rosa Smith and Brooke Malone. So the Lopes come down with the basketball, trailing by a point. Sydney Palma for Nadia Evans. In the corner, Marcel working on Rosa Smith. Lopes have been in the half court pretty much the entire game. Fast break points have not been a premium on either side. Brown twisting in the lane, can't get an open look. Here's Marcel on the drive. Gives it for Brown, sneaks underneath, puts it up, puts it in. Very patient two-person game, Marcel and Brown. And Brown has only her 4th field goal of the day in just 10 attempts. Inside Wallace, outside Gandy, open look, 3, no. Nothing but black jerseys underneath for the defensive rebound as the Lopes come down trying to extend this 1-point lead. Marcel against Sydney Gandy this time. Fakes the pass, drive inside, almost travel. Give it off for Palma. Palma, dribble drive, kick for Brown, doesn't want the shot. 10 on the shot clock, out for Evans. Down to 8, now 7. There's Zars. Can she do it again? Yes, for 3! Evans Zars, only 2 field goals on the day, both of them from outside the arc. And the Lopes with a 5-0 run coming out of the timeout, lead by 4. 6.5 minutes left to go. Fasten the seatbelts. This is going to be a wild finish. Lob in for B, on the money, put it up, no. Whistle and a foul. Ashlyn Wallace with the nice assist pass. And the foul is on Tiara Brown. That is her first. And only the second team foul of the quarter for GCU. Brown will check out. Dom Phillips, who had the hot hand in that second quarter when the Lopes took their first lead, is back in. When we talk about bench scoring, which was such a huge factor last Sunday against Columbia, as B makes the first free throw, both teams have gone to their bench often, but only 4 players combined have scored, 2 on each side, and Phillips with the majority of that. As B makes both free throws, she now has 18 points. Phillips with 12 points off the Lopes bench. The only other 2 points scored by Maisa Marcel. Here's Evans as she went for the shot away from the ball. Moving screen called. That'll be on Dom Phillips, and that will send it the other way. 3 team fouls on the Lopes, none on Idaho, and that could be a factor as Idaho has gone to the free throw line a lot in this second half. Lopes can't get the press to work this time. B, give it in the corner. Malone for 3 again. That misses everything, and it goes right down to the lap of GCU's Nadia Evans. Evans will bring the ball out of backcourt herself. Stop the dribble. Here's Marcel on the right arc. Phillips coming all the way across to get the ball. Muscles her way in, puts up the shot, gets it to go. She got the first step on Malone, and that was all the Millennium High School alum needed. 14 points for Phillips. 4-point game. Hard screen set. Pair of hard screens, the second one illegal. Offensive foul beyond B, and Phillips took the brunt of that one. She is still down. 3 personal fouls on B, something we will definitely watch for. And as we take a look at that replay, first it was Marcel going down, and the second one, Phillips and B both went down hard, but Beyonce was not set. And John Newley doesn't want to take any chances still with 5:40 on the clock after B picked up personal foul number 3. So she will head to the bench. I'm sure she won't be there long. Here's Zars out front. Tiana Johnson in there covering her. Lob for Phillips. Phillips turn around, throw it in the corner for Zars. Zars out for Nadia Evans, a dozen on the shot clock. Back for Zars, working on Johnson. The spin, put it up. Count the bucket. Give her the FG. Zars with a chance for the FT. Foul is on Tiana Johnson. That is her third. And Zars, who was scoreless at halftime, warming up in this fourth quarter, heads to the line to try for her third three-point play, but this time can't get it. Inside, Evans got the defensive or offensive board, but couldn't control it as it trickles out of bounds. Again, the Lopes applying the pressure. Now they back out of it as Rosa Smith comes around another screen. She'll stop. She'll pop from three, straight away off the mark. Palma sneaks in for the defensive rebound. Midpoint of this fourth quarter, Marsal backs it out. Off for Evans, covered closely by Sydney Gandy. Phillips comes to get the ball. Back up, shoot from the free throw line. Off the back of the iron, won't go. Marsal trying to keep it alive, but it's off her right hand, out of bounds. Time out on the floor. 6-point Lopes lead, but it's tenuous. It's still anybody's ball game as Idaho trailed by 7 at the end of the quarter, took a 1-point edge. And let's see what John Newley is diagrammed out of the timeout. Rosa Smith will bring it around, and Evans this time wise to that high post screen from Malone, fights around it. Here's a lob inside for Johnson, fake shoot, shot, drops through. Lopes have been cutting well without the basketball all day long. This time the Vandals gave them a taste of their own medicine. Lopes with the lead. They lead by 4. 4:20 left to go in this thriller. Here's Marsal. Start left, go right. Give it off for Dom Phillips. She'll start to drive. Wanted to kick in the corner. Instead gives it to the cutting Palma. Has it knocked away. Gets it back. Knocked away again. Saves it. 5 on the shot clock. Palma sees it. She'll drive. She'll stop. Off balance jumper is good. Sydney Palma, right place, right time. Lead pass. Malone out in front. She'll go to the hoop and score. And we have probably seen the Lopes beat on the transition more today than we have in any of the previous 9 games. 65-61. Vandals very much alive. Pass to the cutting Palma. Stop. Kick out for Marsal. Marsal on the drive. Puts up the shot. Count if it goes, it won't. Marsal on the floor. Free throw time coming up for the Brazilian.
Another
foul called on Rosa Smith. That is her second, and that is team foul number 3. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Another instance of the Lopes drawing a foul underneath the hoop on a layup. That time it doesn't go, but she goes to the line for the opportunity to make 2 and extend this lead.
And I'm sure John Newley wasn't happy about the call, considering that with the contact, that layup really had no shot of going. But Marsal to the line. She is now 3 of 5 from the charity stripe. Make it 4 of 6. 2 much-needed free throws to make it a 6-point edge. Full court pressure. They're not going to cover the inbound. Releasing is Wallace, but that time Dom Phillips was at midcourt making sure to prevent that. So instead, Smith will have to go the conventional route and bring it out of backcourt. Rosa to the left side, now back to the right. She and Gandy changing positions. Here's Gandy out front in the corner. Wallace, open look, three-pointer, air ball. They have not been able to find the range from three-point land. That is 4 out of 20 from behind the arc for the Vandals. Nearing the 3-minute mark. Lopes could really use a hoop here to make it a 3-possession game. Zars bumping in. Can't get room. Give it to Phillips. Drive on B. Stutter step. Kick out front Marsal. Shot clock at 9. Backs up. Fires a long 3. Barely draws iron. And Wallace has it with 2:50 left. Lead pass for Gandy. Lopes scrambled back defensively. Off for Tiana Johnson. Now for Gandy as they go into the weave. Covered by Palma, and a whistle away from the basketball, and John Newley didn't like the offensive set, and he's going to call a timeout. So we will step away.
To win the WAC this year, so just a lot of storylines for that game. Really excited to be on that one.
We should also mention Bryce Drew's men's basketball team, fresh off of a huge come-from-behind overtime win over Pepperdine here last night. They will be at home on Tuesday night against Idaho State. 6 p.m. with the tip-off. You can catch that right here on ESPN Plus, also on Fox 10 Extra. B inside, crashes into Evans. Wave it off. Charging foul. Nadia Evans, perfect placement. And B with 4 personal fouls. Well, you get the feeling, Chelsea, that while John Newley was drawing that up and bringing B in that Molly Miller was saying if number 5's back in the lineup, they're going to go to her low. And Evans, perfect placement to take the charge.
Yeah, another example of Coach Miller's ability to come out of timeouts with a great play, whether it's offensively or defensively. And as you mentioned, they were expecting B to be under the hoop, and that's exactly what happened as they're able to draw the charge.
And I misspoke. That wasn't 4 fouls on B. She's fouled out of the ball game, and that is huge down the stretch for the Vandals, considering she accounts for a third of their offense. And she fouls out with 18 points to lead the way. Now the Lopes have to take care of the basketball. Double screen set for Palma. Out front, Zars. Low block, Phillips. Backing in, double team. Kick in the corner. Marcel, high arching three won't go. Zars rips down the offensive board. Saves it. Fresh 20 on the shot clock. We're under 2 minutes, and Molly Miller wants to use some clock. Palma playing keep away from Gandy. Another double screen set. Stop, throw it for Zars. Almost threw it over the 6'2" center's head. Now for Evans with 3, with 2. Off balance jumper, no. Zars has got it, follows and scores. Evans Zars with the play of the game, not once but twice in the same offensive set. 69-61. And suddenly it's an uphill climb for the Vandals. Minute 20 left. And John Newley will call another timeout with 81 seconds left to go, as well as on the radio here in the Phoenix area with the radio voice of the Lopes, Michael Potter, and Lopes insider Paul Coro. All right, Idaho State with the basketball. Let's see what John Newley drew up during the timeout, and there it is. Sydney Gandy, open look from 3 and buried it. 5-point Lopes lead. Brown. Marcel lost his shoe. And that was fortunate, because if she had just been on the ground, Brian Woods would not have whistled a timeout. So it's an official's timeout, as Marcel will have a chance to lace him up.
This is the second time she's had some issues with her shoes tonight.
And John Newley saying, why is that not a GCU timeout? And he may only have one good arm, but he's motioning feverishly to lead official Brian Woods with that good arm. So the Lopes with the basketball, and we're nearing the 1 minute mark. Tiara Brown is now handled by Tiana Johnson. And that will put the Vandals over the team foul limit with 61 seconds left. That's 4 team fouls on, or 4 personals on Johnson. B has already fouled out. And Brown to the line, and the first free throw's not good. And the Lopes, who were 4 of 5 from the stripe in the first half, it's been a different story since halftime. Next free throw, that's not good, but the rebound tipped out front. Brown gets it, but knocks down Smith in the process, and the foul is going to be called loose ball style on Tiara Brown.
Tonight.
Lopes come out with Palma, Brown, Zars, who will cover the inbounds pass, Marcel, and Nadia Evans. Gandy inbounds to Smith. They've got to watch out for the 3 because they are not bashful. Lead pass for Wallace, and Wallace stepped on the out-of-bounds line. The pass was a little too high. Wallace came down with it, but her second foot, the left foot, could advance it to the front court. So Evans will inbound just to the right of her own coach. She looks, she waits, Phillips comes to the corner to get it, and Dom will be fouled immediately by Asha Phillips. Again, both teams out of fouls. Phillips with 14 points off the bench. Has not been to the free throw line yet this afternoon. So 2 huge free throws for the senior. Phillips' first free throw, not good. And that is her first miss of the season. 3 out of 4. She needs this one to make it a full 2-possession game, which she obliges. 70-64, and John Newley is going to call his final timeout on Sydney Palma and Nadia Evans. And once again, the 6'2" Zars covering the inbounds pass to the left of the Idaho bench by Sydney Gandy. Gets it for Smith. Smith looking in and releasing and getting the easy lay-in is Tiana Johnson. And how many times have the Vandals drawn that up in the huddle, and it has worked to perfection. And Molly Miller with 49 points. So the Vandals come out with Rosa Smith, Sydney Gandy, Ashlyn Wallace, Brooke Malone, and Asha Phillips. Inbound for Palma, and she is pushed and fouled immediately by Smith. That is her third personal foul, but now Palma going to the free throw line. She is 1 of 2 on the day, on the season, 13 out of 18. They will immediately get Tiana Johnson back in the Idaho lineup. But Palma to the line for the 2 biggest free throws of the afternoon. 47.7 seconds remaining in regulation. And the first free throw, nothing but net. Crowd hushed, and that's why. Concentration for Palma. 16 points to lead the way. 72-66. Vandals have to hurry. Smith for Johnson. She can fire from 3, and she got it to go. It'll count. She's fouled in the play by Zars. First time that Johnson has been able to get a semi-open look. Zars running at her. And absolutely what the Lopes could not afford. So one of the rare opportunities for a 4-point play. Zars picks up her 4th. Free throw, not good. And Zars has the rebound. So still a 3-point game. Both teams out of timeouts. Evans looking at her head coach to get the play. Half a minute to go. Palma comes out to get it. Covered by Ashlyn Wallace. Lopes want to use clock. There's 9 seconds difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Marcel with 10. Out to Evans. Evans with 9. With 8. Zars comes out to set a screen. Evans is going to have to put it up with 3. With 2. Forces it up. She's tied up. Initiated the contact, and the possession arrow favors the Vandals with 9.8 seconds left.
Wow, I was expecting that to be a shooting foul. They end up calling the jump ball.
Inbound to Gandy. Shot clock is off. They got to have a 3-pointer. Gandy comes around a screen. She will fire it over Zars for the tie. She got it to go. 0.3 left. And the Lopes can only inbound. Evans will throw it up, won't go. And why don't we go extras? 2 huge 3-pointers in the final.
When you win.
30 for 30 presents Net Lead Versus.
We're ready to go. 5 minutes of overtime, tied at 72, and the Lopes will control the tap. Molly Miller with a lineup of Nadia Evans, Dominique Phillips, Sydney Palma, Maisa Marçal, and Evan Zars. Marçal, who has played most of this second half, at the point. Marcel looking in for Zars, gets it to her. Start right, spin left, bank shot, not good. Off the iron, and here comes Idaho with a chance to take only their second lead of the second half. Here's Rosa Smith being covered by Zars in a switch. Now comes around a screen, and Zars can cover Tiana Johnson. They lob in for Johnson. Catch and shoot. Got it to go. And they have gone to that well so many times. 74-72. Idaho with an 8-0 run. Taking only their second lead since it was 12-10. Palma with the ball. Backs out. Start to drive. Keeps coming. Stop. Bank it up. Bank it in. Sydney Palma steady as she comes. We're tied at 74. Only the 4th time we've been tied on the afternoon. Gandy dribbles around a screen. Covered by Zars in a switch. She will back up, fire a 3, and got it. And the 2 starting guards for Idaho are feeling it. Smith and Gandy with 4 3-pointers, 3 of them coming in the last minute and a half of play. 77-74 Idaho. Phillips on the stutter step. Drive inside. Count if it goes, it won't. Pushing foul will send Dom to the free throw line. That one on Asha Phillips. Remember, the fouls do not reset in the overtime period, and both teams were well over the limit in that fourth quarter. Phillips to the line where she's 1 for 2. First free throw's not good. 3:23 left to go in the overtime session. Next one, in and out. Brown tipping for the rebound, but that's where the size advantage of Idaho comes to play. Both Johnson and Phillips able to box out. Lopes need a stop here. Rosa Smith driving on Evans all the way in, off the glass and in. Smith with 16 points. 5-point Vandals lead. Largest since the first minutes of the ball game. Phillips back to the basket. Hands off for Evans. Doesn't want the three. Instead, she'll drive, put it up, put it in. She wanted the foul, didn't get it. 18 points for Evans. She and Palma leading the way. Back to a one-possession game with 2:45 left to go in OT. Gandy and Smith handing it off to each other. They've had the hot hands ever since Beyonce B fouled out with 2:20 left. Here's Smith. Outside the arc. Shot clock at 10 for the Vandals. Coming out to get it is Wallace. Looked inside, but Phillips wasn't open. Here is Johnson on the drive. Off balance jumper, bound around and off. Swooping in for the defensive board, Marçal. 2:15 to go. Lopes trail by 3. Marçal yo-yoing it out front. Taking a long look at her head coach, Molly Miller, to get the play. Evans, handoff for Palma. Thought about the three. Doesn't have room. Drive in, muscles her way up. Riding one-hander is good. The hook shot for Palma. She's got 20. Season high 22, career high 23. And we're under 2 minutes to go in a one-point game. Lopes clamping down here. Johnson fumbles, gets it back. Off to the driving Phillips. Had no angle, can't get the shot to go. Good defense by the other Phillips. Her name's Dom. Marçal out of backcourt for Tiara Brown. Starts a drive and called for a travel. And Tiara Brown standing silently underneath the basket, trying to figure out where that call came from.
I believe that's the third time in this game now that Tiara Brown's been called for the travel, so having a little bit of issues with that for sure in this game, and that was a huge moment there that could have put the Lopes in the lead that ended up being a turnover.
Sydney Palma is going to check out of the lineup. Here's Aaliyah Collins with 92 seconds left. And I'm sure Molly Miller is probably telling Collins she's got to clamp down on whoever she covers. Collins, one of the best defenders in the WAC, not just on the team. Here is Evans covering Smith between the circles. Off for Tiana Johnson. We know she can shoot the three. Off for Gandy. Fall away, three-pointer won't go. And I think the fall away was key as that one was off the front of the iron. Lopes come down with a chance to take their first lead of the overtime session. Phillips driving, double team, throws it out front for Brown. Shot clock at 15. Here is straightaway Evans for three, bound around and off. Brown trying to save it, but it bounced on the line. So now Idaho with the ball. Palma will quickly check back in, this time for Nadia Evans. And the Lopes will press with 50.8 seconds left to go in OT. Smith was looking down the floor, but the Lopes not about to get the cherry pick layup behind them this time. Smith in the front court. John Newley screaming out instructions as the play happens in front of his bench. Smith picked up by Palma. Around his screen. Picked up by Marçal. And now John Newley will call his lone timeout. Phillips, Emma Krieger, Maisa Marçal, and Tiara Brown. Idaho with Sydney Gandy, Ashlyn Wallace, Rosa Smith, Asha Phillips, and Tiana Johnson. Shot clock at 8, game clock at 28. Hand off to Smith. It's knocked out of bounds. Goes into the Idaho bench. It will still be Vandals basketball with 5 seconds on the shot clock. The game clock. 5 seconds left on the Vandals shot clock. They lead by 1. Rosa Smith will inbound in front of her own bench. She looks. She waits. Gets it to Asha Phillips. Phillips tried to get shot up, and it's rejected by Tiara Brown. And Phillips even used kind of the hooking arm, which I'm surprised the Lopes were not screaming for an offensive foul. The Vandals get it back, and Evan Zars is going to come in to cover the inbounds pass because there is only 1 second on the Vandals shot clock. So it'll be Smith to the left of her own basket. Marella hands her the ball. Quick in for Johnson. Did she get it up? She did, and the shot goes. Now, wait a minute.
I'm not sure.
They are going to stop it, and Felicity Willis says, we're going to take a look at this. And this was very... Palma will inbound it with a lineup of Dom Phillips, Maisa Marcel, Nadia Evans, and Evan Zars. Palma has it. She looks. She waits. Better hurry. Better hurry. Gets it to Zars. Zars will drive. Keeps coming and dribbles it off her foot out of bounds.
That was the last thing the Lopes needed.
So now the Lopes have to go for the steal and then the foul because the shot clock is off and they trail by a point. Brown back in for defensive purposes for GCU. Phillips will check out. And for the moment, the Lopes are not going to cover the inbounds pass. Now Evans comes over. Inbound to Wallace, and Wallace gives it off for Phillips. Lopes have to foul, and finally Tiara Brown will do the honors, fouling Asha Phillips with 12.5 on the clock. Well, now three-pointers, which have been such a factor on the don't side most of the game, really coming into play as the Lopes 8 out of 26 from three-point range, but only 3 of 13 since the half. And Asha Phillips to the line. She is 3 of 3 on the day and just broke the streak. So now the Lopes need to box out for a possible miss, but the best Phillips can do is give them a 2-point lead. Both teams out of timeouts, both free throws missed. Phillips is tied up, and the possession arrow favors Idaho. Tiana Johnson got her hands on it. So with 11.1 left, Idaho will have the ball and a 1-point lead. Phillips out of the Lopes lineup. Tiara Brown back in. Rosa Smith will inbound to the right of her own basket. Shot clock is off. Smith looking, waiting. Gets it for Gandy. Gandy almost traveled and now she'll be fouled. Right in front of her own bench. 9.5 seconds left. Foul is on Tiara Brown. And that is all for Tiara Brown. She is fouled out of the game with 9.5 seconds left. Smith to the line, make that Gandy. The first free throw's good. This to make it a 3-point game. Lopes out of timeouts. The free throw, good. Brooke Malone checks in for Tiana Johnson, and the Lopes have to go the length of the floor and get a 3 in 9.5 seconds. Dom Phillips back in the Lopes lineup. Gets it for Palma. Waiting. She'll drive up. Stop. Looks. Scoop for Phillips. She'll put it up for 3. Won't go. Rebound scramble. 2 seconds. 1 second. Tied up. 1 second to go. And the Lopes have the basketball. So still a glimmer of hope. And they will inbound it underneath their own baskets. Will inbound the ball with Palma, Bazell, Dom Phillips, and Evan Zars. And Idaho circling that 3-point line. Evans looks, gets it out for Phillips. Phillips one bounce. Did she get it off? Yes! Ties the game! We'll go to another OT!
I think they'll review it.
I'm sure they will review
it
this.
It was very close, but